You know, the funny thing about Hollywood is that you can get a lot of things. Fame, fortune, a beautiful home with a swimming pool. The only thing is, sometimes you end up floating in that pool, face down. That's where our story begins. With me, Joe Gillis, dead. But let's rewind a bit, shall we? I want to tell you the whole story, how a down-on-his-luck screenwriter like me ended up here. It all started about 6 months ago. I was a writer, or at least I called myself one. The truth was, I hadn't sold a script in ages. My rent was overdue, and a couple of guys from the finance company were trying to repossess my car. Desperate times, you know? So, I'm leading them on this wild goose chase through Los Angeles when my tire blows out. I ditch the car in a driveway on Sunset Boulevard, thinking I'll hide out until they're gone. The driveway led to this massive, decaying mansion. It looked like something out of a horror movie, completely neglected, like the world had forgotten it even existed. I figured the place was abandoned, so I stashed my car in the garage and decided to take a look around. But then, a voice calls out. It's a woman, and she mistakes me for someone else, someone who was supposed to be there to bury her dead chimpanzee. Yeah, you heard me right, a dead chimp. Before I can explain, I'm face to face with her, Norma Desmond. If you know your movie history, you know the name. She was one of the biggest stars of the silent era, the greatest star of all, she'd say. But Breck now, she was a recluse, living in this Moser Remrisler, Max von Meyerling. Norma lived in a world of her own making, a bubble where she was still the queen of the silver screen. The house was a shrine to her younger self, with pictures of her everywhere. She'd spend her evenings watching her old films, projected by Max, reliving her glory days over and over. She found out I was a writer and saw it as a sign. You see, Norma had written a script. A monstrous, rambling epic called Salome, which she believed would be her triumphant return to the screen. She wanted me to help her edit it, whip it into shape. The pay was good, and frankly, I was out of options. So, I took the job. I moved into a room over the garage and became her personal script doctor. At first, it was just a gig. I'd work on the script, eat the lavish meals, and listen to her stories about the old days with Chaplin and Valentino. It was surreal. But slowly, things started to get weird. Norma became more and more dependent on me. She'd buy me expensive clothes, things I could never afford. A new wardrobe, a gold cigarette case. I wasn't just her writer anymore. I was becoming her property. The mansion, which at first felt like a temporary hideout, was starting to feel like a prison, a very luxurious one, but a prison nonetheless. Max, the butler, watched everything with this stoic, unsettling gaze. I later found out he was more than just a butler. He was her first husband, one of her early directors, the man who discovered her, and now served as her keeper, protecting her from the harsh reality of the outside world. I felt trapped. Every time I tried to step outside her fantasy world, she'd pull me back in. She threw a New Year's Eve party just for the two of us. It was the loneliest party I've ever been to. I snuck out to join my friends, to feel normal for a few hours. When I got back, I found out she'd had a breakdown, thinking I'd left her for good. Her dependency was turning into a dangerous obsession. She was possessive, jealous, and her moods could swing in an instant. Living with her was like walking on a tightrope over a pit of madness. Then Betty entered the picture, Betty Schaefer. She was a script reader at Paramount, young, ambitious, and full of life. We'd met before, and we started working together on one of my own scripts. We'd meet at the studio late at night, writing, talking, dreaming about a future away from the shadows of Hollywood's past. We fell for each other. It was real. It was hopeful. It was everything my life with Norma wasn't. For the first time in a long time, I saw a way out, a life I actually wanted to live. Of course, Norma found out. She found a page of our script with Betty's name on it. The jealousy was volcanic. She started making these cryptic, threatening phone calls to Betty, hinting at the kind of sordid life I was living. Norma was terrified of losing me, of being left alone in her decaying palace of memories. She couldn't handle the thought of me having a life, a love, that didn't revolve entirely around her. The confrontation was inevitable. I had to tell Betty the truth. I brought her to the mansion to show her the whole pathetic setup. I wanted her to see what I'd become, a kept man, living off a forgotten star. I painted myself as the villain, the opportunist, to push her away, to save her from the mess I was in. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Seeing the disappointment and hurt in her eyes broke me. But I knew it was the only way to get her to leave, to let her have the normal life she deserved. After Betty left, it was over. I packed my bags. I couldn't stay in that house a minute longer. I told Norma everything. That I was leaving, that her comeback was a fantasy. That the fan letters she received every day were actually written by Max to keep her illusion alive. I told her the world had moved on and forgotten her. I was cruel, but I had to break the spell. For her sake, and for mine, I was walking out the door, ready to face the repo men, ready to start from zero. I was finally free, but Norma's fantasy world wasn't just a bubble. It was her entire reality. And when I shattered it, she shattered with it. She stood at the top of the grand staircase, her face a mask of disbelief and fury. She pleaded with me to stay, but I just kept walking towards the pool, towards the exit. Then I heard my name. I turned around, and she was holding a gun. She wasn't going to let me leave. The first shot hit me, then another. I stumbled backwards, falling into the swimming pool. The water was cold. En das premier sank, the last he saw was her face, looking down at me, not with remorse, but with a chilling, vacant stare. So here we are, back where we started. The police arrived, the news reporters, the cameras. They swarmed the mansion, and Norma. She saw the cameras and thought her moment had finally come. She believed Cecil B. DeMille himself was there to direct her grand return. Max, ever the loyal servant, played along, setting up the lights, directing the news cameras as if it were a real movie set. And Norma Desmond, completely lost in her madness, descended that grand staircase, ready for her final, tragic performance. She walked towards the cameras, her eyes wide, and delivered her immortal line, "All right, Mr. DeMille." I'm ready for my close-up, and the cameras kept rolling, capturing the final. Devastating moments of a star consumed by the very dream that created her. A true Hollywood ending, wouldn't you say? Thanks for listening to my story. It's a strange place, this town. Be careful what you wish for.